What if the habits that shape your entire future aren't the ones people see, but the ones no one notices? Think about it. Most people chase motivation. They wait for the right time, the perfect feeling, the big inspiration. But what if success doesn't live in those moments? What if it lives in the invisible? Invisible habits are like hidden levers. They don't look like much. They don't get applause. But they quietly shift your direction, your energy, your identity. And over time, they move mountains. James Clear calls habits the compound interest of self-improvement. Mel Robbins says you don't need to feel like it to do it, you just need to move. And if you look closely at the world's most unstoppable people, they aren't powered by hype. They're built by what they do in silence. They win their mornings before anyone else wakes up. They make hard choices without telling anyone. They repeat small actions so often that they become part of who they are. This video is about those habits. The ones that don't show up on Instagram. The ones no one praises. But they're the habits that separate those who drift from those who dominate. We're going to uncover the 9 invisible habits behind truly unstoppable people, not the highlight reel stuff, but the routines, systems, and decisions made in private. You won't hear empty motivation here. What you will hear are tools, real stories, and science-backed insights from some of the most trusted minds in personal development. From James Clear's system thinking to Mel Robbins' practical methods, this is a guide you can live, not just like. By the end of this, you'll know exactly how to install these habits into your life, no matter your background, no matter your energy, and even if you failed before. Because it's not about being perfect. It's about building invisible habits that make your results impossible to ignore. Let's begin. Success doesn't start with talent. It doesn't even start with goals. It starts with discipline, the kind no one claps for. The kind you build when no one's watching. Most people try to build momentum with easy wins. But James Clear says it best. Every action is a vote for the type of person you want to become. And if the person you want to become is strong, focused, and clear, you have to start with what's hard. First, that's what Jocko Willink does. Former Navy SEAL. Now best-selling author and leadership speaker. Every single day, Jocko wakes up at 4:30 a.m. and posts a photo of his watch. No filters. No excuses. Just sweat and commitment. Not for attention, but because he knows how you start your day is how you build your life. This is what Mel Robbins calls private confidence. She says, your confidence is built in private, by doing what you promised yourself. It's not built by likes or applause. It's built at 6 a.m. when you do the thing no one will see, and you do it anyway. It's easy to commit to the big, flashy stuff, but real transformation lives in daily grit. That's what makes a person unstoppable. Not their motivation, but their habits under pressure. Take Stephen King. He's written more than 60 novels, many of them bestsellers. His secret, he writes every single day, including holidays. Not when he feels inspired, but when he's scheduled to write. It's a system, and systems beat moods every time. James Clear explains this through identity-based habits. You don't wait until you feel like a writer to write. You write, and over time, your brain starts to believe you are a writer. You become what you consistently do. Discipline, then, isn't punishment. It's proof. It's how you show your future self that you're serious. But there's another layer to this. Energy. When your body is low on energy, everything feels harder. Problems look bigger. Emotions get louder. That's why Serena Williams, one of the greatest athletes of all time, kept training even during pregnancy. Not to impress anyone, but to stay connected to her power, to her rhythm, to her mental focus. Mel Robbins often says, movement creates momentum. You don't wait until you feel energetic to move. You move to generate energy. That's what Beyoncé did in the lead up to Coachella. She rehearsed up to 14 hours a day. No mirrors. No audience. Just her and the grind. She wasn't chasing hype. She was building alignment, body, mind, mission. Clear backs this up with a powerful idea. If you want clarity, move your body first. Action drives clarity. Exercise is not just physical. It's psychological, a signal to your brain that you're in charge. So let's bring this together. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't trend. It happens in the dark. But over time, it shines brighter than anything. Confidence doesn't come from standing on a stage. It comes from keeping a promise to yourself when you could have quit and didn't. And energy isn't something you wait for. It's something you create by moving forward even when it's easier to stay still. You don't need more motivation. You need invisible habits that put you in motion again and again. So the next time you think, I just don't feel like it today, remember what Mel said, you don't have to feel like it to do it. And the next time you think you need a new strategy or another secret, remember Clear's truth. Your results come from your systems. And your systems come from your repeated actions. If you want to be unstoppable, start with what's hard. Keep your promises, especially the silent ones. And move your body like your clarity depends on it. Because it does. You can be the most disciplined person in the room, but if your systems are broken, you'll burn out. That's why unstoppable people don't just work hard. They work smart with structure. James Clear says it best. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So let's talk about the systems no one sees, but that silently shape your results every single day. First, clarity. Most people feel stuck because they can't tell if they're moving forward. They chase results, but don't measure progress. It's like driving with your eyes closed. Jeff Bezos famously starts his day with high-stakes decisions, but only before 11 a.m. Why? Because he tracks his energy and focus. He knows those first hours are his most valuable currency. Mel Robbins calls this front-loading focus. Instead of reacting to the day, you decide what matters before the chaos begins. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from setting up your day to support your mind. Unstoppable people make space for that clarity through measurement. They track what matters: their sleep, their spending, their mood, their habits. Clear calls this the feedback loop of progress. Track, adjust, improve, repeat. You can't improve what you don't measure. And when you measure, something powerful happens. You start to care. Mel says, just writing it down changes how you see it. What you track, you respect. Now let's talk priority. Anna Wintour, editor of Vogue, starts her day at 5:45 a.m. with a tennis match. Not emails, not scrolling, not meetings. She protects her mental space by owning her morning. Then she reads 7 newspapers before 8 a.m. That's not just discipline, that's priority by design. James Clear emphasizes this too. Most people don't need more time. They need clearer priorities. And Mel adds, if you don't decide your day, someone else will. That's why so many high performers don't wing it. They pre-decide. This is where Steve Jobs comes in. Jobs wore the same outfit every day. Black turtleneck, jeans, sneakers. Not because he lacked style, but because he valued focus. Every unnecessary decision drains energy. Every repeatable task without a system creates mental friction. Simon Sinek talks about this as decision fatigue. He explains, when your brain is full of micro-decisions, it has no space left for big-picture thinking. Unstoppable people remove friction wherever they can, so they can stay sharp where it matters most. Nowhere is this clearer than in preparation. Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning, built a worldwide movement around one idea. How you start your day is how you create your life. But here's the twist. Your morning doesn't begin in the morning. It begins the night before. That's why Ray Dalio, billionaire investor, ends every day with reflection. He tracks what worked, what didn't, and plans his top tasks for tomorrow. This is called the daily shutdown, a ritual where you close the loops, clear the mental clutter, and set tomorrow up to win. Mel Robbins encourages something similar. She says, prepare your work so future you doesn't have to struggle to find it. Preparation isn't just for professionals. It's how everyday people can build professional-level consistency. Whether it's preloading your calendar, choosing your outfit, or writing out your 3 biggest tasks, the person who prepares always performs better. So let's tie it together. If you want to grow, stop guessing and start measuring. If you want freedom, stop reacting and start prioritizing. If you want clarity, stop hoping and start preparing. Success doesn't come from having it all figured out. It comes from building invisible systems that protect your focus, your energy, and your direction every single day. Your goals are just wishes until your systems make them real. You've built discipline. You've installed systems. But there's one final edge that separates unstoppable people from everyone else. They don't just do the right things. They teach, they subtract, and they automate. Let's start with teaching. It sounds strange, right? Why would teaching make you better? Well, according to the learning pyramid, you only retain 10% of what you read, but 90% of what you teach. That's why people like Tim Denning, one of the most read writers on Medium, publish daily. For Tim, writing isn't just about sharing, it's about remembering. He says, "Writing forces me to think better, speak clearer, and learn faster." Mel Robbins agrees. She often teaches concepts on camera the same day she learns them. Her motto, "Teach it messy. Teach it now." Because when you teach something, your brain organizes it differently. You internalize, simplify, and most importantly, you take ownership of the idea. James Clear explains it like this: the best way to master a habit is to explain it to someone else. And here's the good news: you don't need a platform. Teaching can happen in conversations, in journal entries, in voice notes. The key is to express what you're learning, so it sticks. But teaching isn't enough. The next invisible habit is elimination. Most success advice is about adding more books, more routines, more hustle. But sometimes progress comes from doing less. Marie Kondo built a global movement by asking one simple question: does this spark joy? Now apply that to your calendar, your habits, your distractions. Dan Martell, entrepreneur and author, has a rule. If he finds himself doing the same thing twice, he automates it. If something drains his energy, he cuts it. That's how he built systems for clothes, food, travel, not to be fancy, but to protect his mental focus. Mel Robbins calls this decision detox. She says, "The brain isn't built to hold dozens of open tabs. Close the ones that don't serve you. And if you think elimination is modern, think again." Benjamin Franklin had a nightly ritual where he reviewed his day and asked, "What good have I done today?" If something didn't align with his values, he worked to remove it, not just fix it. James Clear echoes this idea. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. But systems also require pruning. Now we reach the final piece, automation. This is where truly unstoppable people win big. They don't repeat themselves. They create what coders call dry systems. Don't repeat yourself. Think of it this way. Every repeated task is a decision you could automate. Every time you reinvent the wheel, you waste mental energy. That's why Maya Angelou created a specific environment for writing. Same hotel, same setup, same tools. It wasn't superstition. It was strategy. And that's why Dan Martell built templates for events, content, even email replies. Not because he's lazy, but because he wants to spend his energy where it matters. Mel Robbins says, automation is self-respect. You don't have to prove yourself through exhaustion. James Clear calls this designing your defaults. You don't rise to the moment, you sink to your preparations. So make your default strong. When you teach what you learn, you retain it. When you eliminate what doesn't serve you, you grow. When you systematize your routines, you create space for what matters. Success doesn't come from hustle alone. It comes from living like a builder, not a firefighter. Builders teach what they know. They delete what distracts. And they repeat what works without wasting time. So ask yourself, what could you teach today, even if no one's listening? What can you remove that steals your energy? What's something you do every day that could become a system? Because the truth is simple. If your life feels chaotic, it's not because you're broken. It's because your systems are missing. And when you build invisible systems that teach, eliminate, and automate, your life doesn't just work better. It works on purpose. Unstoppable people don't wait for motivation. They don't chase shortcuts. They build invisible habits, the kind that work even when nothing else does. Let's rewind what we've learned. It starts with discipline. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind. The kind you build at 5 a.m. when no one's watching. The kind that says, I keep my promises to myself. Then come the systems. The structures that guide your day, your focus, your energy. Because without systems, goals are just ideas. James Clear says, you fall to the level of your systems. So make sure your systems can hold your dreams. And finally, the filters. The things you remove. the distractions you delete, the routines you automate. Because success isn't just about doing more. It's also about doing less of what doesn't serve you. Mel Robbins reminds us, you're always one decision away from a completely different life. And that decision doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. One invisible habit, done daily, chosen on purpose. So here's the truth. You don't need a new version of yourself. You just need to let go of the habits that keep you from becoming the one you already are. Start small. Stay consistent. Teach what you learn. Track what matters. Delete what drains you. Systematize what repeats. This is how you become unstoppable, not all at once, but quietly, consistently, invisibly. If this message spoke to you, if you felt seen, or if you're ready to take even one of these invisible steps, let's stay connected. Subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and drop a comment below with a habit you're ready to commit to in private, but with power. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people becoming extraordinary. Silently.
Hey, incredible growth seekers. Wow, what a journey. If this video resonated, subscribe now for more life-changing content. Join our community of self-improvers. Smash that like button to fuel more content on mindfulness, goal setting, and emotional intelligence. Share this video to create a ripple of positive change. Comment below about your growth journey. Your insights shape our content. Next week, boosting self-confidence and overcoming limiting beliefs. Don't miss it. Every interaction brings us closer to a world of empowered individuals. Let's make personal development global. Stay inspired, keep growing. Your best self awaits. Let's unlock it together.